a guide which has become very popular on Twitter. This is a guide from Greg Eisenberg. If you don't know him, make sure you're following him. He's primarily on Twitter. And he's talking about finding applications, apps on the telephone, talking about iPhone apps, talking about Google apps, that people are buying, people are spending good money on, but they hate. And we're going to use something like Claude Code or some other vibe coding tool to very quickly replicate the functionality of that application and launch a better version, a cheaper version, a more advanced version. Whatever it is, we are going to go into the market and we are going to blow people out of the water using vibe coding tools on applications that make money but are disliked. I've put the whole guide in my newsletter. I'll put it again so you can get it. This is the tweet, how to make $10 million in 365 days with AI mobile apps. And he runs through the whole playbook about how you can create applications based off ideas that are already working but have been implemented poorly in the market. I'm going to run through the whole method today so that you have a clear picture of how you can do it. I'm also going to give you some alternatives for doing it for a lower cost than what Greg is talking about. He's talking about using Sensor Tower, very good place to get information, also not cheap. So I'm going to show you some alternatives for that as well. So this will be written up, put in a guide, and on my website, it will be in the newsletter. Make sure you are signed up. Go to aiwithkyle.com, join the community here, and you'll be added to my newsletter and you'll get the full guide as well. I will also create a page on the website once completed. Let's look at this method from Greg Eisenberg's tweet. I take no credit for coming up with this method. This is entirely Greg. I just want to elaborate on it, put it in a video and bring it to more people. It's a fantastic idea. It's also something I'm starting to do myself. Without further ado, how to make $10 million in 365 days with AI mobile apps. The exact playbook someone will use to make $10 million plus in 2026 rebuilding existing mobile apps. So we have had an app gold rush before. It happened maybe 10 years ago when the iTunes store, Google Play Store, that was the place where you could make $1 billion. You could go on there and you could build an application like Instagram. That's the very famous example. You could build up a user base and sell to a company, or you could just generate huge amounts of cash by getting monthly recurring revenue coming through your application. Nowadays, most apps are subscriptions. For this reason, it is very lucrative. However, prior to a couple of months ago, this was tricky. You could have an idea, yeah, absolutely, but you would have to have either the money to hire a technical team, you'd have to have the technical know-how to build applications, or you'd have to find a CTO or somebody who had those skills, and then you would split the company with getting your basic version, your MVP, your proof of concept built. That's the easy part. So you'd still have to do all the marketing, you'd still have to build the business after it. That technical block has been eradicated by Claude Code. We can now give an application, we can give screenshots of an application to Claude Code and say, hey, can you build this for me? And Claude Code will do it. You can rebuild any application, the interface, the functionality of it for $20 a month, for $100 a month if you want a better version of Claude Code with more limits. This has opened up a huge opportunity. The game has shifted. It's not about technical skill, it's about having an idea and then being able to market it very well. Greg's tweet came out a few days ago. Interestingly, I had a similar realization. Last week, I was trying to copy a URL from my telephone over to my Android TV. I needed to add some plugin on my Android TV, and I did not want to have to type using my remote control a big long URL that had an API key and a whole load of fuss, a massive amount of fuss. So I needed on my telephone an application that allowed me to copy and paste to my Android TV. Very simple. I went on the App Store, the Google version, but the App Store was full of hundreds of applications to talk to your TV, use it as a remote. They are complete and utter dog shit. Hundreds of these applications follow the same predatory practice. Reviews 3.9, these 5 stars are probably fake. Works on my TV perfectly, no complaints, but the ads need to go. The phone got a freaking virus because there's no warning. They just pop up, I accidentally clicked it and now I have a virus. It works, it pops up full screen ads while I'm scrolling. It's $5 a month. The app works well, but the ads are ridiculous intrusive. I could understand a banner ad, but having to watch an ad before use and they pop up in the middle of button presses. So you're quickly pressing, for instance, to change the volume, the ad will pop up and then it takes you to the website. Gross. So if you look at these reviews, all of the recent reviews are things like this. Very bad app, it can't work. I suggest you don't download this app if you don't want to waste your time. Too much unnecessary ads. I am unhappy. Worst app used, way too many ads. This has 50 million downloads and 650,000 reviews. This is not the only one. If you go around the App Store, if you go around Google Play, you'll see hundreds of these apps following the same business model, providing basics, giving ads, forcing you to click or pay $3, $5 a month for basic functionality. I was trying to use an application like this on my telephone, could not find one, downloaded 4 or 5 applications, they were all the same. Okay, cool. Oh, you want to copy a URL? Fine, pay us. And I, out of spite, refused to do that. So I stopped doing what I was doing, and I went to Claude Code and I said, build me an application that does this. And I gave it screenshots of these kind of apps. It wasn't this one, but one that was similar. Many, they're all the same. I gave it a bunch of screenshots and said, build this for me. I want it to work on my iPhone. Tell me how I get that done. Go. 15 minutes it took, and it built me an application. It told me to install Xcode, which I already had on my computer, get it into Xcode, then into TestFlight. I got it on my telephone via TestFlight, and then was able to use it on my TV. It took about half an hour all the way through. So I was able to rebuild these piece of shit apps that follow predatory practices in half an hour. I did this out of spite because I was annoyed. There's a business opportunity to provide an app that is less gross. This one has 50 million plus downloads and 4-star reviews. This one has 5 million downloads, 3-star reviews, and it's all the same. My son had to approve the purchase thinking it was a game, couldn't cancel, does not screencast, looking for a casting app. Horrible. The App Store and Google Play are full of these predatory pieces of shit, basically. And there is a huge opportunity for us now with Claude Code to provide better versions, ones that don't actively make people unhappy. One of those reviews we just saw was, I am unhappy. We can do better than that. So we're going to provide better versions. We are also going to be less gross in our business practices. We are going to provide better value. So if I was to recreate this and build a clean app, I'd get rid of the ads. Maybe I'd say you can pay me $1 to support my work. If you get 50 million downloads and a few people donate, fantastic, great, you're going to do very well. Or you can put some pricing in place that is less gross, like a one-time fee of a couple of dollars instead of $3 a month to use a remote control app. That's up to you. The business models come afterwards, but we can rebuild apps fast. I'm talking 20 minutes or a day if you want to polish it. It's not going to cost us hundreds of thousands in development cost. It's not going to require us to learn Swift. It's not going to require getting in CTO. We can just build something, ship it. Amazing. So I did this for myself and saw this post from Greg. This is how you take the idea from doing this for yourself to building an actual business and generating cash from it. Phase 1 from Greg, hunt for hated utility. The Google Play remote control app, an amazing example of this. It is an app that people are downloading in their tens of millions and they hate. And it has low reviews, but people are still paying for it. So we're going to find something like this. It doesn't have to be TV, you need to use your imagination here, but we're going to use a tool to help us find this idea. So what we're looking for, according to Greg, is something that has a monthly revenue of $50,000 to $200,000, roughly, with a App Store rating of less than 4 stars. We can use tools to do this. Greg Eisenberg talks about Sensor Tower. This is the kind of ultimate version of this. This is generally used by enterprises, it's used by app developers, it's used by people who are doing this as a large business. It's not cheap. It is not cheap to use, but this is going to give you the best data. I have not got a paid account for this. If I start doing this more aggressively, I will get myself a paid account. Right now, it is too expensive and I'm not going to do that. We're talking hundreds of dollars a month. There are a few others. AppArc is free. I've tried to find if they have a paid version, but I can't seem to find it. So it says start free trial, but there isn't any way to pay. As far as I know, it's free. Let's put in TV remote, for example. Trusted Pilot Solutions. Let's try this one. Revenue is $1,000 over the last 30 days. Downloads at 980. Let's look at some competitor apps. TV Remote Control Universal Plus from tvsmart.app has apparently grossed $30,000 in the last 30 days. So $1,000 a day. Pretty good. This one, apparently, Connect TV Remote is $190,000, nearly $200,000 over the last 30 days. There's another one here, Remote for Roku TV, $200,000. How accurate this information is, we do need to question, but we can use this to hone in on ideas. Obviously, if you use something like Sensor Tower, you're going to get more accurate information, but there's a cost. For now, just look for something using a free tool, just so you can get used to the idea. And then if you want to make a real run of this, go for Sensor Tower. So AppArc is one tool for doing this. The other is FoxData. I've pulled up a TV remote control here. Estimated downloads over the last 30 days is 100,000. Estimated revenue over 100,000. We have to be careful with the data. Interestingly, this says the reviews are 4.43, but if we look at the recent reviews, so this is 2 days ago, the 19th, the reviews are you have to pay for it, 1 star. Too much lag, 2 star. You have to pay to use more than half the remote, 1 star. As soon as you press a button, it wants you to pay for the app. You won't be able to do anything, 1 star. Horrible app that make you pay to turn on your TV. Sorry, 1 star. What I think has happened is they purchased reviews early on to bump their score up. They've got a lot of 5-star reviews by buying reviews, but then if you look at the most recent reviews, they're all 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. So I think they're being a bit cheeky. FoxData and Appark give you some information. Whether or not it's going to be as accurate, we know it's not going to be as accurate as Sensor Tower, but it will point you in the right direction. First step, find something making money, but people hate it. We then look for why they don't like it. There's an audit. Why users are using 1-star reviews. Technical debt, it might be login loops, maybe it's an app people want to use, but the developer hasn't touched it for 2 years. Things have updated, sounds have shifted, and it doesn't work anymore. But people are still trying to, they're still downloading it and being like, I really need this, I need this application, but it doesn't work. So that's one thing. Hostile user experience, the TV remote ones fall inside of that, making you pay for the basic features and then throwing up adverts and stuff. That's hostile, it's gross. And then value gap, this is, okay, no, I'm actually going to ignore that for now. So what Greg talks about is don't go for the flashy things. Don't try to build the next Instagram. Don't try to build the next TikTok. Don't try to build an AI application necessarily. That's the hot right now that everyone's rushing into, the next AI photo generator or whatever like that. Don't do that. Do boring shit. Like, again, this TV remote, people are downloading these applications. Here we go, $30,000. This is a boring application. This is not hard to build and it's very easy to replicate, but this is apparently getting downloaded by tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people per month. Very boring, very profitable if we do a decent version of it. So we're going to focus on the utilities, productivity, professional tools. Don't build on APIs you don't control. So anything connecting to a social media API, for example, probably going to be messy. Again, with AI, if you're building an AI application, you're going to have to connect to the OpenAI or the Claude API. You want to build something dull, like a calculator, but there's a billion calculator apps out there, but you want to build something that's just going to work and continue to work. Copy what works and make it 10 times better. So that is the basic rule here. We are not trying to create the next Instagram. We're not trying to create $1 billion app. We'd be very happy with $10,000, $50,000 a month coming in from this. We're not trying to build $1 billion app. That's a different game, and that's not a game that we are deciding to play. Lyra says, glad to catch you. I'm Claude coding, lots of learning being done. We're talking about Claude Code today. If you're looking for a project to build, the basic idea of this live is to talk about replicating apps that are already out there, which are complete trash. We can do that on Claude Code, because Claude Code can build for iPhone, it can build for Android. Good morning, thank you. This can help single parents make some money. It can help a lot of us make some money. And again, this is not about building $1 billion business. This is not about building $100 million business. If we could build something that gives us a few $1,000s, $10,000 a month, that's a life-changing for most people, including single mums. I'm hoping this idea, which is Greg Eisenberg's, can help a bunch of us. I'm going to go back. I created that slide deck using Notebook LM, but I'm going to go back to Greg's post. First, find the applications. Boom. Let's say we found one. He gives an amazing example here of a person who created an application called Alarmy, which is a loud alarm clock. So basically, an alarm clock application on the iPhone, which is louder. That's it. That is the unique selling point. It's louder than the default app. They have 500,000 downloads and make $500,000 a month. So don't overthink this. Don't think you need to create the next $1 billion app. You need to create something that people will find useful. Look for obvious missing features. Search for a single dev app, something made by one person. Remember back on here, let's pull it up, what we were just looking at. Let's see if I can find it. I could see a few of these applications were single people and they were making good money. I saw a Vietnamese name. Where's he gone? Ah, there he is. Tan. Oh, a couple of. So we've got Tan Devo, who's making $200,000 a month. We've got another Vietnamese dude here, Tran Min. He's only making $1,000 a month. But these are individuals. We've got a Johan here, Ketnia Babak. A few of these are by individual people. So they've probably put an application together. Maybe it's making them good money, but it's not a sophisticated operation. It's probably just one person. Find tools where 50% of the revenue comes from one basic feature. Target apps still charging for features that should be free. Look through the applications. You can use Claude to help with this. Get a bunch of these apps, grab the app description. You throw all of the app descriptions into Claude, not Claude Code, but just Claude or ChatGPT. And you say, hey, I want to make an app like this. What's missing? What could we add? What could we get rid of? You could also throw in all the reviews. Let's say you scrape the reviews, throw them into Claude or into ChatGPT and say, hey, what do people most hate about this that we can fix? What do people like that we can build upon? So your level of sophistication are up to you at this point. Okay, and then what we're going to do, so spot the AI opportunities. So because we're going to build with AI, we can build AI into our workflow. We're looking for applications where people upload information and there are stages of friction within the application, and then it takes time for it to get done. We can actually do all of that with artificial intelligence much faster. These are the best opportunities. This is what Greg is saying. This is a subset of a subset. So you don't need to actually build AI into your application, but if you can find an application helped by AI, absolutely add it. In the example of the universal TV remote control, I can't see a good reason to add artificial intelligence into this. I might be wrong, but I can't see anything off the top. So we're not going to add AI just for the sake of it. Same with this loud alarm clock. Adding AI for the sake of adding AI doesn't make sense there. But if there is an application we can make better using AI, we should do that. I'm thinking something like a FitnessPal. With MyFitnessPal, unless it's been updated, you need to manually log what you're eating every day. So you go in, you're searching for it. But even a very simple speech to text would be helpful here, where you can just say, I've had 3 new potatoes, 500 grams of salmon, add some sauce. If you could talk to it and say what you've eaten, it could break that up into the elements of your meal and log them for you. Even that would be a massive upgrade on a very manual process. MyFitnessPal may have added this. Tell me if anyone uses it and tell me. Or the ability to take a photo of your meal, describe the size and weight, and then for it to work out your calories and macros. That's something AI is very good at, and it reduces friction for the end user. One of the problems with calorie counting in MyFitnessPal is that it's a bit of a ball ache, having to scan all your packages and describe what you're eating. If you could do that via text, rather than having to scroll through lists and picking out the right entry and then choosing how many grams, etc., I think that would be a lot easier if you could just speak to the application and the AI is able to pass out that information and make a better calorie counter. If nobody's done that, somebody steal that idea. That sounds great. If you can do that, fantastic. If you can't, or if AI doesn't fit, don't squeeze it in. So we're going to rebuild using Claude Code. You can 100% use other applications, but Claude Code is just going to make the job a lot easier. The key, as with all Claude Code work, is going to be in the planning. So you are going to first, before you boot up Claude Code, I'd recommend talking to Claude or to ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I am trying to rebuild this application. You give it examples of the app, you copy and paste descriptions, you copy and paste some reviews, etc. You get everything in one place and you say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I want to rebuild this app. I want to relaunch it, create a non-predatory version, and maybe add some AI features and disrupt this market. It's going to help you work out that plan. You will also tell it what your end goal is. So you say, I'm going to be building this for the App Store, or I'm going to be building this for the Google Play Store. And that's going to tell Claude Code what languages it needs to work in, what frameworks it can use, etc., etc. And if you are not with app development, also tell Claude that. Say, hey, this is the first time I've published an iPhone app. What are the steps required? And it will say, oh, okay, cool. You're going to need to download Xcode. You're going to need to do such and such. You need a developer account, etc. There is a cost there, by the way. I think a developer account, I think it's still $99 a year for App Store. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but you can get a free account just for testing early on as well. Putting it onto Test Flight, which allows you to test on your device. So you're going to do all of that. Claude or ChatGPT can guide you. You can either build in Claude Code directly. I've done other guides about how you can set up Claude Code, so I won't repeat myself here. Or, I have not tested it yet. Let's do it. I have not tested it yet, but Manus, 2 days ago, added the ability to build applications directly in Manus. It uploads your apps directly to Google Play and the App Store for you, which is very cool. So this will take away a lot of the logistical work of getting your app published. You built your mobile app in Manus, the logic is sound, the interface is clean, and you're at the most critical step, getting it into the hands of real users. This is where the real friction begins. The path from finished app to a shareable, testable build is a maze of packaging requirements, platform-specific configurations, and documentation designed for seasoned developers, not product builders who want to move fast. This is a challenge we've heard from you. The creative work is done, but the logistical work of sharing it is a bottleneck. It's a pain, especially on Apple. You're forced to switch from a creator to a release engineer, spending hours navigating the complexities of Google Play and Apple App Store just to get a test version out of the door. The feedback loop is slow and momentum is lost. Today we are introducing a better way with app sharing and testing in Manus. We're closing the gap between development feedback, turning a complex multi-day process into a streamlined workflow. I have not tested this, but give it a go. But what it's going to do is prepare your app for Google Play and the Apple Store. It will package everything up. It will give you direct test flight integration and test workflows. So this sounds fantastic. I need to test it out, but I love everything they released. So that's another option. Also, I believe Replit has a publish to App Store. Here we go, publish apps. So you can deploy. They basically have is this web apps all in publishing made I think I'm in the wrong. No, this is about their app. They have, I don't know where it is on their page, but they have the ability to publish to app as well. I'm sure all of the vibe coding tools will be adding it bit by bit. Something like Lovable builds web apps, not the same as an app that lives on the iPhone or on the Android system, but I would not be that surprised if they are working on the ability to publish directly to the App Store. Barriers are basically being removed. That said, a little bit of friction is not the end of the world for you. If you move fast, you can get into markets before it becomes too easy. Reduces how much we can make from this. So I will put all of these notes into the newsletter along with the actual guide. I'm going to start doing this myself, probably starting with the app I've created for the TV remote control, because I think there might be a play there. There's so much trash out there. So just building something decent and putting out into the world, maybe there's some money to be made. If not, at least I'm going to make the world a better place by getting rid of this crap. If you can find something similar using the tools I've shown, Appify, FoxData, or Sensor Tower, I think there's a huge opportunity for you right now. And it's just going to require you to find the idea, to build it in Claude code, or maybe in Manus, try it in Manus. And then obviously the hard part is marketing it, getting it out to market. That is something I talk a lot more about over on my website. I can't go into detail now because that's a huge issue. If you go to courses, aiwithkyle.com, I have a free course, which is 10-week, 10-part course, talking about finding your niche, building them in public, to start to talk about what you're building, business ideas, coding, building what people want. So marketing starts by building for them. You don't build and then ask them first and build it. Marketing, getting ready for revenue, payment options, and how you grow by bootstrapping, sales, and then how you scale up from there. So that is all free and available on the website, aiwithkyle.com. And while you're there, make sure you join the community. We share a lot of resources. There's a lot of information there, and you can get that all directly on the website, aiwithkyle.com. All of what I've been talking about today, this guide, the step-by-step, the original guide from Greg Eisenberg, the slide deck, etc., I will put into the newsletter, and I'll build a page on AI with Kyle so you can find it easily. There's a resource page which has many resources all available for free for you as well. So hopefully that's been useful, and if you don't just think, oh, that's a cool idea, I might do that. I'm hoping a handful of you will be like, yes, absolutely, I'm doing this right now, and you get on with it, because I think this is a huge opportunity that won't necessarily be around for that long, because it is going to get easier to publish on the App Store. We are relatively early, but there will be a gold rush moment later this year when people realize that there's a new App Store gold rush. You can get in a little earlier than everyone else. First movers will get ranked in the App Store and generate the cash you see coming through these applications. Don't wait on this one. I'm personally going for it immediately. I'm excited by the opportunity. Make sure you follow me on the lives and in the newsletter where I'll be documenting that journey. Cool. I'm going to switch to some questions. I know I've just been yapping for the last 30 minutes, but I'll cover some questions and hopefully some of you will find this very useful. Let me scroll up through these questions. There are many here. Let me put it on this page. Scrolling down. Gojin says, I was one who downloaded it and deleted it instantly. In reference to these universal remote apps. Absolutely astounding. If you don't believe me, go on your Apple or Google store and you see how much trash there is. This is just remote controls. This would be the same for lots of applications. I saw another thing the other day. I've got a teleprompter from Elgato. The hardware is great. Absolutely trash software. If you think of things you use daily where the software is awful, chances are you can just recreate it now using Claude Code really quickly. And it's not hard to create things in Claude Code. You copy in some screenshots, the description. If there's a sales page, grab the information from there because it will have a feature list. You give that to Claude Code and say, hey, I want to make this. That's kind of it. And Claude Code will help you work out the plan for doing so. So it's not difficult. It's very simple. It's free and doesn't do any money except ads revenue. We need Claude Code prospector mode about time and money invested. Do you mean these predatory apps? Have paid versions. If free, you get the adverts. Otherwise, you can pay. Let me find one of them. I saw they have payment options. You can pay, I think I saw one that was $50 and you get a lifetime subscription. Here we go. So this one is annual premium is $40. Weekly premium is $7. Who would spend $7 a week on I guess that's for relative pricing. A yearly premium, I don't know what these different premiums are, or lifetime premium is $55. So you can pay for these. That removes the ads, but that is a lot of money for a remote control. This is one example. You need to find your own in different niches. Timothy says, time to make predatory apps. Yeah, that's the other thing. Look at these people making all this money with predatory apps. That sounds great. You could go that way. I hope you don't, but you could use this method. Let's get more Clash of Clans advertising pumped into our apps. Would the 30-minute vibe coded stuff pass App Store evaluation? If it's simple, probably. If not, then you're going to work back and forward with code and get it sorted. So Manus, in particular, has testing workflows. So it's going to give you clear step-by-step guidance on how to invite internal and external testers for your iOS app through TestFlight, simplifying the process of getting your app to a wider audience for feedback. And if you look in this course, the free course, the 10-week course, I specifically talk about finding beta testers as early as possible and then building with your beta testers. So I think it's in here. Yeah, so it's about feedback. So once you get an MVP, you get feedback as soon as possible. I talk about how you find your first 10 testers from different circles, people you know personally, existing audience, relevant communities, etc. So that's all built in there. You need testers as quickly as possible to work out the kinks quickly. I look like Ray Liotta's in Goodfellas. It's probably the eyebrows. I have a couple of videos that went like semi-viral on TikTok. I think one has 5 million views, a couple with 3 million views. Half of the comments are talking about my eyebrows, which was a weird realization, and getting DMs about my eyebrows. I trended on Brow Talk for a short time. Ram says, is this an alternative app store? No, these were tools for doing market research on how much apps are making and how many downloads they have, etc. The ultimate version of this is something called Sensor Tower. Sensor Tower is not cheap, but it's going to have better data. But we just need to know if we're going in the right direction. We don't need to know the exact dollar amount. We just need to find niches and markets. So we can do it with the free versions for now. Nice stream, down to earth talk. Thank you. I try to reduce BS in the world of AI because there's an awful lot of it. Oh, good morning, Marguerite. Good morning. Greg Eisenberg, mainly on Twitter, talks about business ideas and how we can use AI to go from an idea to a product in less than a day. We can build proof of concepts and minimum viability products basically instantly. He has a good example. Normally in a meeting, if you're in a meeting with your team, there'll be somebody who's taking notes. One thing he said is that's going to change. And instead of having a note taker, AI is going to take the notes. Instead of having a note taker, you'll have somebody who's vibing up the ideas, who is quickly spinning up prototypes of what people are discussing so that everyone can then look at it and feel it and touch it and understand whether the idea has any real value or not, because we get too wrapped up in our business ideas. I get a lot of these messages, but every day I have 1 or 2, maybe 3 people who send me messages saying, hey, I've got a great idea. I think it's going to really work. I'd love to talk to you about how we can work on it together. I say, cool, send me the link so I can see it. 90% of people say, oh, I haven't built it yet, which is the first hurdle. Now it's so easy to build stuff that if you haven't built a prototype that you can show to somebody when you're telling them about your idea, that's not going to go anywhere. That is not going to go anywhere at all. Ideas are cheap. It's always been about implementation, because we can go from an idea to a proof of concept, an idea to a minimum viability product in 10 minutes, 30 minutes. It's no longer acceptable to just say, I've got a great idea and expect them to trust you on that. You need to build something, show it to them. The great thing about building is you can realize quickly if your idea is any good. While an idea is in our head, we haven't had to struggle with how we actually implement it, how we actually turn it into something real. So it is by default, it's a pure version of it. As soon as the rubber meets the road and we actually have to construct it and work out, oh, what's that interface going to look like, or how are we going to do this kind of functionality? Once we actually have to struggle with those problems and start to solve them, we might realize our idea is weak. It's insufficient for this to be a good product. At least we get there because we've actually built a basic version and we can actually see that with our own eyes. So increasingly, if you have an idea, just build it and show it to people. Ideas have always been cheap. They're worth nothing now, especially because we can spin up ideas using AI as well. So you need to go to the next step. We want stuff that's doable without a big team and zillions of dollars. Yes, 100%. So what we've just been talking about is making applications that are net $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month. So good money. If you are an individual, if you are one or two people, you will be able to lead a very good life. A large app development company, that's like joke money. They wouldn't bother moving into this sector. But for us as individuals, making an extra 10 grand a month from an application, great, fantastic, wonderful. That is a meaningful increase in an individual's income. So that's where using this method is going to make a lot of sense. You're going to create something that can generate this kind of revenue without necessarily needing a team of 20 people, without needing to constantly be updating it, etc., etc. So that's where this little niche works. We're not trying to build the next unicorn. We're not trying to build the next Instagram. We'll leave that to other people, and most of them will crash and burn. That's fine. They're very big aspirations. Instead, we're going to build something that puts food on our table and allows us to live a very good life. I think that is what's so exciting about AI, honestly. Claude is much better at code prompting. Codex is trash, broke everything. Claude Code is the best coding tool out there. The Node.js guy, I've forgotten his name. Increasingly, there's a realization that writing code is over and it's moving to higher levels of abstraction. It's about architecting user flows and building what people actually want. Ryan Dahl, so this is a guy who created Node.js. This has been said 1,000 times before, but allow me to add my own voice. The era of humans writing code is over. Disturbing for those of us who identify as software engineers, but no less true. That's not to say software engineers don't have work to do, but writing syntax directly is not it. Yeah, this is another high-level software engineer saying we need to move to the next levels of abstraction. Claude Code has been a turning point for a lot of people, and it is fantastic. And you can use it even if you are not a coder. I actually put together if we scroll down, I thought I put together a guide on it. I've forgotten where it is. There's a guide somewhere on how to get started with Claude Code. I just can't remember where it is. That's embarrassing. I think I've created it and not highlighted it on the website. Whoops. Anyway, Claude Code's fantastic. Liva, can created code be moved into Manus? Great question. Complication here is your code is likely in different folders. It's already in a structure. You need to import your project as a whole. You might be able to upload a zip file to Manus, so that would allow you to give it along with the structure. I don't know for sure. Just try it. I think that's the only way. See if you can bring it in. Alternatively, talk to whatever tool you're using and say, I want to take this project over to Manus. I need you to flatten it into one document for me so I can bring it over there so that it can reconstruct the project. It's a little messy, especially on a complex project, but that might work. Maybe. No, that sounds really messy, actually. But go and play around in Manus and give it a shot, and I'd love to hear if it does work or not. Oh, wait. Stupid. Can you connect Manus to GitHub? Totally forgot about GitHub. I don't know. Let me see. Project. Yes. Okay. Sorted. We're going to connect to GitHub and your existing projects. Wherever you have built your tool, make sure it's in a GitHub repository. For those of you who aren't sure what GitHub is, it's basically, okay, I'm going to get crucified for this, but it's basically cloud storage for your software project. And it keeps track of versions. Connect whatever tool you're using to GitHub, then connect Manus to the same repository. Manus will pull the code and you'll be able to do the publish to App Store. So yeah, that would be the best way to do it, because moving the files over manually is going to be messy. How do you join the newsletter? That is just on aiwithkyle.com. Click on join the community. That will bring you to this page. It shows you all the other stuff that you get, and that is available here. That's free as well. You are overhyping vibe coding, in my opinion. What about maintenance? Yeah, so the thing we were talking about today specifically is create very simple utility apps that do not connect to APIs, ideally, do not connect to other services, but something that you can hopefully build and not worry about too much. An example of TV remotes, the Android TV interface hasn't changed since 2020. If they change that and how liaise with that interface, yes, it would need to be updated. But if you're making $10,000 a month, if you're making $30,000 a month from it, you can either hire somebody or go back to code and change it. In this example, that interface hasn't changed in 6 years. I wouldn't be too worried. I think vibe coding, if you are a coder, if you are a software engineer, if you're a developer, vibe coding is an absolute nightmare and you have every right to hate it, despise it and say it doesn't work and it's trash. Understand that. If you're an entrepreneur or somebody who wants to build something, someone who has ideas, it's a godsend because it allows you to create code, an MVP or a proof of concept, get it out to the market and see if people actually give a damn about what it is you're building. That's the bigger problem in business. Up until a few months ago, people would spend months, if not years, building their product, release it out to the marketplace, realize that nobody gives a damn, and then they've wasted potentially tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, 6 months of their lives, building up something that is a flop. Now we can build something using vibe coding like that instantly, get out into the world, see if people want it, see if people care, and then go on from there. And you're talking about code maintenance. Yeah, sure. That's easy to deal with once you have demand. Hire somebody or buy the service to maintain your code if that's required. But until you have people using it, until it becomes a problem, it's basically catastrophizing, thinking about all of the different problems that are going to happen down the line instead of just getting started and getting your idea out there. For entrepreneurs, vibe coding is underhyped, honestly. Okay, I've got 2 questions here which are very similar. Master CFC, what's the best path for somebody with no coding or tech experience to get into AI? And then I just saw another one. What about people with no programming or AI background? Can they still do this? So this is in reference to finding crappy applications online in the App Store, finding applications that have 3-star reviews, 50 million downloads, and replicating them. Yes, you can. The easiest place to start is with something like Lovable. Lovable basically looks like ChatGPT, so it's a very easy to use interface and it's good for spinning up prototypes, really good. Lovable is not ideal for this particular use case because this is building a mobile application. Lovable is good at web apps, so things that live in your browser. That said, it's a good way to get started playing around with these tools. And then when you feel a bit more ready, you could start using Cursor or you can use Claude Code. Also have a look at Manus though, because Manus are moving more and more into the app development space. And they have this kind of not one-click publishing, but they have a process that still requires technical ability. But the barrier to entry and the level of technical capability required has dropped precipitously because of things like Claude Code. What might have taken you years to skill up to previously, you can now get a good deal of that way in a week or so using these tools. So I'm not saying there's zero technical ability. I'm not saying that there's zero learning required, but it is learning that could be acquired very quickly. Also, these tools are getting better and better. Claude Code is getting better and better, all of them. So it requires us to know less and less, which has its own problems, but if you're just trying to get started, it's fantastic. They need an App Store reset. The App Store's in trouble because of vibe coding like this, because if it does get flooded with one-click publish applications, discovery is already a problem on the App Store and Google Play Store. If we can vibe code something in half an hour, get it verified for publish and publish it, well, that's going to have impact on the sheer volume of apps that are on the App Store and more importantly for the user experience, discoverability. How do you find the good apps? They're probably going to have to introduce some kind of AI-based discovery tools, verification, visibility, because otherwise it's just going to get inundated. It'd be a bit like Steam. It's hard to find anything. You need to use third-party applications to find the gems. The App Store's already like that, but AI is just going to speed that up even more. There's been one for a while. It's called Codex. So if you go into ChatGPT, on the left-hand side, there's something called Codex. It's okay. It's fine. Oh, got a new little message here. It's perfectly fine. It's not as good as Claude Code, but still fine. How much would you charge your application. Pricing is a huge question. I have courses on that. When I did my MBA in New York, I did a course on pricing. I'll point you towards my newsletter and various courses there because I have lots of pricing resources in there. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. One is you undercut your competition. Don't generally recommend that because that just becomes a race to the bottom. And as new entrants come in, everyone gets cheaper and cheaper until you go to zero. So it's generally not the way to go. Another is to go higher than your competitors and provide premium service by being the highest priced version. There's a psychological bump. People think, oh, it's expensive, it must be good, which is not necessarily true. There are different forms of pricing. A lot of the App Store apps have subscriptions. They have subscriptions when they do not need subscriptions. Realistically, you need a subscription if you have ongoing costs for running that application. So if it's an AI app, for example, and it has AI inside of it, then there is actually an ongoing cost because you are paying the AI company for your API call. So that's valid. With remote control apps, they've built it once. There's no additional cost to provide this app to more people. So them charging a subscription is just taking the piss. So in that case, I would come into the market and remove the subscription. Say it's $5 for lifetime and you'll never need to pay for it again and you're done. So that is not about changing the price. It's not going higher or lower. That's about changing the format of the price. So instead of a subscription, it's going to be a one-off, for example. But there are many ways to slice this, depending on what value you're providing and depending on what your competitors are doing as well. When in doubt, start low and increase your prices. This is what I do. I'll start low and then keep increasing the prices and find where the resistance is. So I might have something that's £500. I find lots of people are buying it at £500, so I move it up to $750. I find the same number of people are still buying it. Okay, cool. Let's try 1,000. Same number. Okay, get to 1,500, and maybe we start to see people say, "Oh, asking more questions," or there's more resistance. We know there's a bit of a resistance here. We might go to 2,000, see if that works. If not, we'll come back to that resistance level. It's an art and a science working out the price based on your own costs, the value provided, how much the competitors charge, the psychological elements for your customers, etc., etc., etc. So it's hard to give a simple answer, I'm afraid. Can Claude Code help for an app that pulls data from other websites and public data? Yes, it will build a scraper. So you can either have it build a scraper for you, or you can connect it into a scraper service like Apify. So get web data, build automation. It has an Instagram scraper, an Amazon scraper, Google Maps scraper, TikTok scraper, website scraper, etc. Apify has built these agents for you already. You can build them yourself. And there's libraries like Puppeteer, for example. I think Puppeteer. I should know this. I've built stuff with it. Wish I could spell. Puppeteer, headless Chrome, browser automation. So yeah, you can use this for scraping. The only reason why you might not want to do that yourself is it's a bit of a ball ache, frankly. Building your own scraper, you need to work out how to make sure it's undetected. So if you are coming from the same IP address, the same location, it will get detected because they'll be like, why is this IP sending 50,000 requests? Bam, you're banned. If it exhibits non-human-like behavior, bam, banned. So it's just a bit of a pain building your own scraper, depending on what you're trying to scrape. So using something like Apify allows you to basically offload that pain to the people who have built these. So like this Instagram scraper, for example, can I click on this? This is, doesn't say how much it is, but generally there'll be like, here we go. The scraper is per pay-per-result pricing model. It will cost you $2.30 to scrape 1,000 Instagram comments. So instead of spending days building your own scraper, you could just use an Apify scraper. So if you are using Claude, you would say, hey, Claude, I'm setting up a scraper using Apify. Here are the details, and Claude Code would be able to work out the rest for you. So that's how you access public websites. I would say that, so scraping is definitely a gray area. Some websites you are not allowed to scrape. It's against their terms of service. Some are public. If it's a public site, you're fine. Fully public sites would have a way to download it, like Wikipedia. You can just download Wikipedia and then give it to Claude Code directly. But if you do need to scrape, go for Apify. Claude is good, but it doesn't do phone apps. Yep, it can do phone apps. Just say at the beginning, this is what we're doing. Claude Code specifically. I use Anti-Gravity from Google. You get both Claude and Gemini. Yes, Anti-Gravity. So if you want to get into vibe coding and don't want to spend any money, then right now Anti-Gravity is the best way because it has the fantastic price of $0 per month. It's a new product from Google, released in December. I'm trying to get some adoption on it. So right now it's free, and that gives you access to Gemini 3 Pro, Claude Sonnet and Opus 4.5 Opus is the best model, and GPT OSS, the open source ChatGPT. There will be some limits to how much you can use each day, but it's free. Like, hard to argue with free. So anti-gravity is great to get started for free. Some people can't write code. That's fine. You don't need to anymore. That's what vibe coding is and why it's so exciting. I had not seen code until last November. Now I change things directly with directions. Lyra has been coming to my streams for the last few months. Like I keep saying, use Lovable or Claude Code. Lyra had not even seen code until last November and now is able to manipulate code, able to build things. That's what is happening with artificial intelligence right now, which is super exciting, is that now anyone who has an idea, anyone who has something that they want to build can just do that. Will it be as good as a software engineer that has 10 years of experience? No. Does that matter? Not as much as people think. So it's a very exciting time. Is Lovable better at code than ChatGPT? No, but what Lovable gives you, so the difference between a vibe coding app and just using ChatGPT is that it gives you an interface where you can preview what you're looking at, your application, you can play around with it. What it's doing is not just creating the code, but it is helping you to deploy it as well. It's helping you test it, because the first time you generate code, that's fine. You could do it in ChatGPT, Claude, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just code. The work is in testing what you've built and then going back and forward with the vibe coding tool to say, actually, we need to move these around, or this functionality doesn't work, or the way you've built this is incorrect because of XYZ. That's where all the work is. The first generation is just the starting point. A tool like Lovable, Cursor, Claude Code, etc. will also deploy your code. You'll either deploy it on your computer, local host, or on their servers. You can see it all visibly. And that allows you to tinker around with what you've built and to provide feedback. So Lovable is better than ChatGPT in that it provides that interface for actually working with the code, which is 80-90% of it. ChatGPT can help you with that first code generation, but then you need to get it into your own local host server, etc. You need to deploy it, which is more friction than using Lovable. ChatGPT is rubbish. Lyra says, creating me 2 apps really easily. Fantastic. Now you've moved to Claude Code. Claude Code is really good. There's more of a learning curve. It's harder to get up and running, but once you've started using it, it's really good. Is it good to make a religious app? Is it too sensitive? No, it should be able to. I think it was Marcin. Marcin did a TikTok on this. He found somebody who'd made I think it was a Bible. It would give you daily Bible quotes. I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it. But they were doing great numbers, and it would basically give you a daily search for it. Let's do Marcin Bible. It should pop up. Here we go. No, he calls it a $50,000 Jesus app. Everyone's chasing viral AI apps. Meanwhile, boring faith-based apps are quietly doing $50K a month. This one doesn't rely on trends. It monetizes habits, belief, commitment. The strongest force on earth. No huge audience, no crazy tech, one painful problem. This is how app business is built. So this is an existing app called Bible Note. You could replicate using AI very, very quickly. You could build a religious app. And if, depending on what religion, obviously, but you could bring in the text of your religion as well. If it's the Bible, that is public domain, you'd be able to use that freely. Wikimedia has copies. It's not hard to find a copy of the Bible. I'm going to have to do a capture. Normally, TikTok starts screaming at me to do a capture. A religious app could work. The Bible is open source if you're using the Bible. Does Claude Code work well with Replit? I think Replit uses Claude, but not Claude Code. Correct me if I'm wrong. I use Codex with VS Code. Codex is a large language model, the coding agent from GPT, OpenAI. VS Code is a development environment, a piece of software which allows us to see our folder, to see our code, to have a chat panel that we're talking to. So it gives us a nicer interface to work with. Code is free. You can download that. I have Cursor, which is a version of VS Code, a fork of VS Code, and I run Claude Code inside of Cursor. It gets confusing because we have Codex, Claude, Cursor, Composer, that is Cursor's own large language model. We have a lot of C-based tools, which makes it confusing to talk about. But running a model inside of a development environment like VS Code or Cursor means you have the best of both worlds. You can bring in your agent, but you can also see all your files, you can see the code. It gives you a nice interface to work in. That's how I do it. Your camera is so crisp. Thank you. Sony something, and it's going through my computer. It's a mess. Don't ask them what moisturizer uses. I don't use moisturizer. Not very exciting. Claude Code is better, but I'm used to Codex. Prompting with precision is important. You still need to prompt. Prompting is primarily about clear communication. It's about being able to get an idea from your head and communicate it well to the artificial intelligence. And the better you get at that skill, at communication, the better results you'll get out of your AI. And that is regardless whether you're using whether you're using Claude, whether you're using Codex, whether you're using ChatGPT, like whatever you're using, your ability to communicate what it is you want is going to determine what successes you have. It seems like ChatGPT are getting it wrong more often these days. Hallucinations are down across the board. Plus, now that search is pretty much automatically used, it will source its information a lot more. Can Apify scrape metrics from TikTok? Yes, it can. If you go into Apify and search TikTok, it will give you a list of 100 different actors. They will scrape different elements of TikTok. So you can get comments, scrape posts, find influencers, scrape their videos, analyze transcripts, look at how many views, how many likes, etc., the engagement, and then use that to work out what the most popular content is in your niche. Apify can do some pretty cool stuff. Feels like GPT is throttled. If you're feeling that, might be because GPT 5.3 is about to drop and they redistribute server resources just before a model drop. If it is dropping, they always drop on Thursdays. Are you concerned about using Gemini, giving Google infinitely more data about you? Google have everything they need on me anyway, so I'm not too worried. I don't use Gemini much. I use Nano Banana Pro because it's fantastic, but I don't use Gemini for coding. I don't use it as my daily driver. I think it's great what they've done and exciting. We have more competition. For me, I'm not too worried. If I'm going to give my data to anyone, it's going to be Google. The reason for that is Google have a decent track record of not abusing that data too much, and they also haven't had massive breaches. So because they've been going for 20 years or so and they have not been too heinous with our data, I think they're one of the better companies in terms of data security, data privacy. Obviously, they're using it to advertise to us. That's where their money comes from. But they haven't been too gross about it. Gosh, that's maybe a little bit defeatist. I think they're reducing capacity to free up GPUs for training a new model. They're risking having a worse model now to try to catch up with Claude. They've been on the back foot, especially in coding and especially because of Claude. Funnily enough, a lot of people still don't use Claude. I know we're watching this live. You obviously pay attention to what's going on in AI. If you go out into the street and talk to people about Claude, they have no idea what that is. Claude is still a very niche subject, and it's mainly people in software development and coding who are really interested in it. That said, it's beaten the crap off absolutely every other model, because Anthropic have just been quietly beavering away, making the best models, and it shows. They're fantastic. They've been hiding the abuse of data well. They've been around so long. The longer you stay in the game and don't F up too much, the higher the chance of the future security of that data as well. Surely Apify will get blocked on TikTok. Impossible to build an app off their metrics. Apify has been going for years. Sometimes the individual actors get blocked, but it's in the interest of whoever created that actor to make sure it gets unblocked ASAP, because otherwise they lose their revenue, because you're paying per usage of that actor. What you do on Appify is you find the actors that have really high usage, really high reviews, like with anything, and they're going to be, let's see, TikTok scraper. Let's see if we can find some more. So this one has 120,000 total users, 6,000 monthly active users. You respond within 3.5 days to issues, 20 hours ago, last modified, etc. So you can see from this kind of information, all right, this is active, or this one is actively maintained by Apify. So you can assume these ones are okay. If you go through the marketplace, there's a lot that have far fewer users. These are the top ones here. This is a DraftKings scraper. You can extract sports betting data. This has 83 users and 1 review. Would you build an application on potentially going to break? No, probably not. You'd look for something more robust and reliable. As with anything, it's due diligence. Generally, anything maintained by Apify, we take full responsibility for it. That's going to have uptime because Apify are staking their reputation on it. Vibe coding is a really good hype topic on smaller scale projects, but enterprise is mediocre still. Yep, as I've said multiple times on this stream, the thing that we've been looking at is an opportunity for entrepreneurs, not software developers. It's not for people who have spent their lives coding. People in that position have every right to be annoyed about vibe coding because suddenly the skill they've spent years honing has been democratized, given to everyone else. So for entrepreneurs, this is a really exciting time. For software developers, it's shit. And I don't think there's any way around that. There's a fantastic article on Substack by Alberta Tech called Should We Hate Vibe Coders? So Alberta Tech is a developer, but she gives this wonderful example here. It's, imagine you've been training your entire life to be a violinist. Every day you rehearse with a group of people who all had to pass 5 rounds of interviews to join the orchestra. Then one day, 700 people walk in off the streets into your rehearsal and claim they're vibe violinists. They break instruments, they sound horrible, they clutter up your Twitter feed with recordings of their work. You and your real violinist friends laugh and trade stories of how these people don't know the difference between the tailpiece and the fingerboard. But then one day, something terrifying happens. You hear a beautiful tune and turn around to find a vibe violinist playing it. You think that shouldn't be possible without a foundational music education, when they're not even holding the violin the right way. You listen a while longer until in a blink, they falter, they lose the melody. And so you turn back to your real violinist friends and you laugh at how these nincompoops thought they could play. You laugh, and all the while you feel a tingle of anxiety. I've put this in my newsletter before. Google it. Should We Hate Vibe Coders by Alberta Tech. Basically talking about her feelings when it comes to vibe coders as a developer and the increasing realization that it's basically over and the job is going to be starting to conduct rather than being a violinist. So moving up, conducting. Oh, here we go. It's also a future where you might end up being a vibe conductor of a vibe orchestra. So it is not about the syntax. It's not about knowing the code back to front. It's going to be about orchestrating and running the whole process and moving up levels of abstraction. So vibe coding is exciting if you are an entrepreneur, terrifying and life-changing if you are a coder. But that's where we are. I wonder how strong Apify are in Southeast Asia. What do you mean, for scraping Southeast Asian websites? Have a look at the shop. There might be some stuff. Generally, it can be used anywhere. If you mean, can you use it in Southeast Asia? Yeah, 100%. If you mean, can it scrape Southeast Asian websites? Probably, if they're popular. It's going to be more based on how popular the site is rather than the geographic location. So a lot of that is American-based sites because they tend to have more traffic. It's worthwhile building scrapers. But I'm sure if you look around the store, there'll be some stuff. Can it scrape paywall sites? Tricky. Not with ease. The only way is you provide the actor with your login details, but then the side of the site that's being scraped, they know your user is looking at 50,000 pages a day, so that's going to flag abuse. That said, there are certain things like, oh gosh, what's it called? Apollo. So Apollo has leads. You can get email addresses. You can put in, you can say, okay, I'm looking for learning and development executives in tech companies in France. You can put in your requirements and it will give you a list of executives in those particular roles and then give you their email addresses, telephone numbers, etc. This is, what's it, $110 or let's say $80 per user per month. That gives you 50,000 credits, which is not quite 50,000. Oh, sorry, that's per year. So that's 79. Let me put this in because it's important to know the price. So that's $1,000 and that will get you 50,000 credits, which I think is roughly 50,000 email addresses. Not cheap. So this is paywalled, it's behind a wall, but there are Apify Apollo scrapers, which somehow just go in and get that information for you. I don't know how they're doing it. I assume they have access to an unlimited account. This will get a huge amount of leads for you for quite cheap. Let's look at the pricing. Much cheaper than actually signing up. $2 for 1,000 leads, for example. That's for the free version. It's cheaper if you get a paid version. Behind a paywall, it depends on what you're trying to build. Go and look around the Apify store. For TikTok users in Southeast Asia, aligning your scraper to find people in a certain place, which you can do using language. So if you're looking for people in a certain country that speak a certain language, like if you want to get Indonesian users, Bahasa Indonesian would be a good target language. Oh yeah, location of creation. That's an even better way. You can say the country. That will be what they tag in their videos, which may or may not be correct, but you can target using that. I've been talking for an hour and a half, which is much longer than I expected. The guide will be on the newsletter. The newsletter is aiwithkyle.com. There is, I'll show it to you, we've bundled all free resources, no credit card, just free. When you join the newsletter, there's a 5-day AI challenge course, 100 plus playbooks, access to the live shows, a priority question answering, the daily newsletter. There's a membership community, which is based in Circle. We've got a few thousand people in there. Glossary, blah, 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 blah. Like a whole bunch of three things. If you go to AI with Kyle, you'll find ways to subscribe there. Make sure you do that. And then in the newsletter, I will put the slides that we just talked about today. I will also link in Greg Eisenberg's full guide as well as these additional links for the tools we looked at, FoxData and Sensor Tower, which is not cheap. I'll also include the Manus and all of the stuff that we've basically discussed. I will put into a newsletter so that you can go through it at your own leisure. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter over at aiwithkyle.com. Thank you, everyone. It's been a fantastic session. Cheers.